This is One on One.
Where am I?
At the Renaissance Festival. Google it. To be or not to be?
This place is insane. Are you hiring? I have a degree in English from Vassar.
You have any felonies?
No.
You're hired.
That is Rory O'Malley, Tony-nominated actor, and we were just looking at American Princess on?
Lifetime, June 2nd. That's when it starts.
By the way, we're taping just a little bit before that.
Sure,
It'll be on AMP.
sure,
Okay,
sure,
set this up for us.
It's on Lifetime, Sundays at 9, or 10 o'clock, 9 Central.
Don't screw that up.
Gosh, I got to get that together. Central Time is very important.
Yes.
It is at a Renaissance fair, and I play Brian, the Shakespearean actor at the Renaissance fair. So I'm a pretentious actor. I didn't have to do any research. Totally had it under my belt. It was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had as an actor. It was just hanging out for a summer with a bunch of theatrical, over-the-top people at a Renaissance fair. I mean, it was a TV show about a Renaissance fair, but they had to recreate an entire Renaissance fair outside. So we were like, you know, shooting arrows and jumping in mud pits and putting on Shakespearean plays in the mud. It was a total blast, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
When did we have you on last?
When I was nominated for a Tony for the Book of Mormon, and I didn't win, Steve.
You did not.
If only we had worked harder.
Okay, play this out for a little bit, for us a little bit. You're there at the Tonys.
Yeah,
You're nominated.
that's right.
It's an honor to be nominated.
It is.
Your name is not called.
Yeah,
And you think, I'm so happy for that person.
I do. Well, one, I think I'm so happy I don't have to say anything in front of these TV cameras right now. I really was very scared about that. But the other thing is that for some reason the TV camera came up, they announced the winner, and they started going into my face closer and closer. So I was like, I'm happy. I'm so happy. But I was, because it was truly a dream come true. The entire time I was at the Tonys, I thought, is this the real Tonys? They let me in? Like, this is insane.
You're in.
I was in.
You're part of it.
Yeah, and it's one of the greatatest honors of my life. One of the greatest
Remind
nights.
folks, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Came to New York when?
I came to New York after working for Gary Marshall for a few years in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Great guy. He was like my mentor. I looked up to him so much. I worked for him at his theater in Burbank, California, and then moved here in 2006. And started working temp jobs like every other actor does, and got a call while I was at BlackRock Financial saying I wanted to do a reading of a new musical that was written by Trey and Matt, the writers of South Park, and Bobby Lopez, who wrote Avenue Q, and it was about Mormons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hamilton?
Hamilton happened a few years after that, and that was really crazy because I was doing another Broadway show that was three weeks into rehearsals, and it got canceled. I was doing this show called Nerds about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and I was playing Bill Gates. And we were ready to open the show on Broadway, and a few days, or 3 weeks into rehearsal, a few days before we moved into the theater, the producer walked in and said, "Everyone go home. We don't have all of the funding."
Does that happen?
It does
did
not.
happen.
It did,
I was just
but
gonna
it
say.
does not. No, I honestly, I remember at that moment having that was my first question too, Steve. It really was. Does this happen? I said to the stage manager, "Does this happen?" And he said, "No." And honestly, I can't think of another instance where that had happened. You have times where shows are about to start working on it in rehearsals, and then it collapses, but not 3 weeks into rehearsals. I mean, the set was in the theater. We were ready to go. So that was something crazy that happened. But because of that, we did a run-through of the show for ourselves to kind of have an Irish wake and say goodbye to it. And the casting director for that saw me do it, and she said, "Hey, I'm also casting another Broadway show. Would you think you would do that?" And I said, "Oh, no, I don't know if I could. I'm so heartbroken." She said, "It's The King in Hamilton." I said, "I'll be right there." And that's how I got The King in Hamilton. I was replacing Jonathan Groff, who was leaving a few months early than expected because he got this big TV show gig. So it was completely an insane moment for me.
With all the stuff you're doing, what the heck are you doing podcast? Where do you find the time to do a podcast?
I'll tell you why, because
First of all, plug it. What is it?
yes, I have 2 podcasts. Living the Dream is what I started. Living the Dream with Rory O'Malley. It's the ups and downs of being an actor. And the reason I started it was because of being in Hamilton. All this social media, 140 characters and Instagram, all these kids at the stage door thinking, wow, that's what it's like to be an actor. You're performing for Beyonce and the president, and that's what being, an actor must be like. And I was like, no. It is so much harder than this because no one's talking about BlackRock Financial. And so I said, I'm going to have a podcast where actors who I know these kids respect so much and who I respect, who've been through the ups and downs, who are honest for an hour about the realities of being in our business. And I was doing that for a couple of years, and I had some great episodes with everyone from some of my friends who left the business to become nurses to Joel Gray, to my good buddy Josh Gad. And I'm now working with the Geffen Playhouse in Los Angeles, and they have their own podcast, Unscripted, with Podcast One.
And you're doing
I'm
that?
doing that now. I was just doing it on my GarageBand, on my own, and now I have a producer. It's so much fun.
Before I let you out here, I'm curious about this. Advocacy has always been a part of your portfolio.
Yeah.
What and why?
I think it's my mom. When my grandfather, who I never met, always instilled in my mother the importance of being socially active. I grew up in Cleveland, where we were known as the mistake by the lake because our river caught on fire, and my grandfather was so involved in getting the water to be cleaned up and to turn that city around, which it really has now. And I've always been socially minded because of that legacy that my grandfather.
Real quick, but what's the organization?
My organization is Broadway Impact. We fought very hard to organize the Broadway community around the issue of marriage equality. We had marches and letter writing campaigns, and we had a play called 8 that was done in all 50 states, 500 theaters all across the country. It was the story of the fight for marriage equality in the courts.
Well, before I let you out here, did you just become a dad?
I did.
How do you not, you expect me to bring that up? You're supposed to bring that up.
I got the pictures, come on.
You got a picture?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we're gonna look at all my pictures on the phone. Yeah, we 6 months ago got a call after 2 years of being in the adoption process that there was a baby that was born that day, and he was ours. And my husband and I now have a 6-month-old at home. And
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Nothing better, right?
Nothing better.
Good
Absolutely.
for you. This is Rory O'Malley, Tony-nominated actor, and he's also in American Princess on Lifetime. Check it out. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is One on One. We got terrific people here. Right back after this. I promise.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One on One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, TD Bank, New Jersey Resources, Fedway Associates, the Fidelco Group, and by KESSLER Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.